What's up, guys? I really wanted to remake that rhythm video because that video was kind of just like more of a test for me to be like, hey, I can make an edited video if I wanted to. I can make all the edited stuff, and it's like, well, that stuff isn't me. It isn't me. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if I say or like or whatever. I don't care. It's part of my personality, and it's something that hey, it'll stay with me. And editing that stuff out and all my little nonsense and my stutters and stuff, it really doesn't portray my personality and doesn't really give light to my content. It makes my content kind of soulless like everyone else's, and it's like, oh, this guy, I don't care about portraying being a happy guy or whatever. So I really want to remake this Rhythm Guy to my style because I feel like when you make videos in that style, you just lose out on so much stuff. So anyway, right here, Rhythm is like one of the best characters. Straight up, she actually is. Like her ability just to stand still, you press Q, you just AFK, and she does nothing. It's completely insane. It's so broken. It's wild. I don't know how she was made, and she's luckily an Electro character, so she gets access to volition and morale, which is like it's such a blessing for her kit. And she has so many good things about her that like even when you want to play her at I0, you can play her just as a bossing character, as an elite killer. And then after you get past I0, you get to I1. At I1, she actually does work. But the thing about it is I1 and I2 are two different things. And I think a lot of people say, yo, you should get I2 rhythm, but they don't really explain the fact that I1 rhythm is kind of good too. Because without I1, I2 wouldn't be broken. That's the thing, because I1 gets your I2 to proc, and then your I2 procs more I1s, and then it's just like this infinite cycle. And that's why when you see Rhythm, she just has a whole bunch of numbers, because it it's how her kit works. And she's just a character you can be AFK with, and just insane. And everything you do and build on this character every time feels more and more rewarding. Unlike a lot of other characters in this game, I wouldn't say that's the truth for a lot of other characters, but like Fina, when I was building her, she didn't feel great to invest in. Lisbel, it's like Lisbel doesn't feel great to invest in because her additional damage bonus is tied to her pressing Q or getting the slam, and you're not going to get those instances all the time. So, but with her, her kit flows so well. She can cancel to do more damage. She buffs her own damage. She uses her own resource meter. I'd say her passive is kind of mid, but it is what it is because if you said her passive was 90% damage boost, I think that'd be fine. And her E is just damage, and her passive is actually the damage boost, and I could see that being something. Yeah. Let me start with explaining the skills. Her E is just you use it for a damage boost when you have your sanity, when you have your energy up. You have energy every time you press an ability, use energy, and when you use your E with more than 30% energy, you get this buff, and this buff lasts like 8 seconds or something. But duration helps, so you kind of want duration on her. Duration is really good, right? And then it's a movement, and you actually move a little bit faster when you use the empowered version. So it's nice. It's really good. You can cancel it with your right click. So if you E and then right click, you can cancel it and then just spam it. And that's generally what you want to do for bosses. It's super nice quality of life and it's really solid. With her Q is kind of insane because all of her introns apply to her Q basically. And it's super nice having something focused and particular for a character because I really feel like this character, unlike Fina, I'd say, has a really good design concept and it's really well built. So right here, right, we have our Q, and our Q, it makes us do electroshocks to enemies. At Intron 1, it's kind of lame because right here you just do shocks, right, and you just do a singular shock, and the shock is kind of lame. Okay, So we'll kind of just explain it as Intron 1 for now, just in case anyone wants Intron 1. Intron 1, I mean Intron 0, it's like pointless. We're explaining it at Intron 0, my bad. And it's not really worth it, but it's okay. Over here, right, it gives you movement speed. Movement speed is kind of whatever, right? And then every second, it deals electro damage to a random enemy in range, and it alternates between positive and negative, which is very, very important for you to understand because this is the reason why this ability is so good. This ability does a whole bunch of damage on its own. And then after you do this positive charge, that's where it starts to get insane. And that's why I1 is going to be the biggest one. And then I2 is going to be even bigger. Okay. Because how these two work together, it's insane. But for you to understand that, you have to understand that once an enemy has a positive and then there's another one for a negative, then you get this big multiplier because then they collide and it stuns them, which is cool. But it also just does a whole bunch of damage. And so with that, that's why you're going to be seeing like 1,000,000 plus damage on rhythm. But most of the time, you'll be seeing like these smaller numbers because you won't be seeing that 1,000,000 damage because your normal damage multiplier is already insane to begin with. This is like a laceration multiplier. And this multiplier doesn't even keep an account for your supports or when you press your E buff or any of that. So once you press E, this multiplier goes up. It's absolutely insane. It's turbo busted. It's broken. It's wild. Okay. And so to explain this, we're gonna go to her introns because her introns are very important. Oh, her passive. I guess we go over her passive real quick. This passive just makes it so that when you use sanity, it puts it into electric energy, and it just makes it so that it does more. It's kind of whatever. Who cares? You don't even need to max this personally. I wouldn't never max this. And then right here, when consuming electric enemy, it converts it back into sanity. I don't know if this is bugged or something. It doesn't really feel that great. I don't know. You just burn through it anyway. But it kind of makes it so you don't really need to build efficiency on her if you really want to. It makes efficiency kind of pointless on her because you kind of get the rebate. It's not good if you want to use Q duration, which your whole kit is about. But if you want to do bossing and stuff, it really disincentivizes using Q and using energy for bossing. That's the big thing I'd say. Right here, this is whatever. Increase the attack for self, and it's whatever. You're never gonna use an electro ally in your life. Who cares? It's pointless. All right, so the introns right here. Introns are super duper important on her. Intron 2 is like your ideal thing. All of these don't matter, and then Intron 6 is just Giga mode. So, yeah. With the first one, this is the big one right here. Electric charge deals AoE damage within a 3-meter radius. And then electric charge, right? When an enemy is defeated, their electric charge is transferred to another random target within a 20-meter radius. And then it retains duration, allowing the effect to continue on the new target. These two are the reason why she's broken. Because one, after you kill an enemy, you transfer, right? You transfer it. But how are we gonna kill the enemy? We're gonna need to get that 1,000% multiplier, that 10,000% multiplier that just does a whole bunch of damage. And to do that, we're gonna be utilizing the fact that our ability does AoE. And because of that, right here, we're gonna go over here, we're gonna summon. We're gonna put them 120 just for more. Put 110, I guess. 110. Just so you can see it. I don't really want to defeat them too fast. So right here, you can see that we're going to shock an enemy. And when we shock an enemy, it shocks the enemies around it. But it applies different polarities when they get shocked. And so right here, we shock them. And then every 3 seconds, these guys are going to be pulled together. And then after these guys are pulled, it shocks more enemies moving over and doing more damage. So that's why this ability is insane. Now, these enemies are really over leveled. I'm not doing anything. If I jumped up, I'd get my access to my duel and I'd do more damage. If I pressed E, I'd get the damage boost and do more damage. So it's like you do a lot of this damage. A lot of it is just from doing nothing. And it's completely insane and it's passive. And these guys have like insane damage reduction buff, so these aren't like the best enemies to do. If you're doing this against the smaller enemies, like the smaller things, they wouldn't have even lived at even at like level 120. But these guys are just super tanky. But that ability for her to just shock something, it passes, and then it puts the electric charge on the enemies around, is why it goes insane. Because after it passes with her I2, it then procs her I1 again, and then they combine, kill an enemy, boom, travels, procs the I2, bam, I1 procs, boom, and that's why she's broken. That's why she's broken. Okay, and the thing is, her multiplier is just completely insane for that. But the downside of it is it's really bad for solo content, and you're not really gonna get the damage that consistently on solo content without like I6. And that's why I6 is good. I6 makes her Q really good for solo content, but until you don't have that I6, you're not going to be doing great in solo content. Yeah. Those are introns. And the next thing we can go over is you can use your E and cancel it with a right click to move around. Typically, I do this in multiplayer because the crescent, this move sucks. But when I'm playing solo and I'm doing terminations and stuff, I will always use my E, cancel it with piercing ascent, and then right click. That's just how you should play the character. It's the fastest way to get around. And so when you're doing this, you can even cancel it with like piercing ascent and then cancel with E, E right click, cancel it, E, E right click, E, bam. And you could do a whole bunch of stuff to navigate different types of areas. So even though it may go fast, you're like, hey, it goes so fast, what are you going to do? You'll get used to it and you'll learn how to navigate different areas and go where you want to go. It's just a lot more based on timing. So it's really fun and it's really rewarding. And it's one of the best parts about her. So you can just go around, defeat enemies, and it makes her so good on termination. Like, I used to think termination was a bad game mode until I started playing Rhythm. And then it's like, wait, I can clear termination in 18 seconds. In 18 seconds. So it's nuts. It makes her super good. Um, yeah, and I explained the Q. And let's go over just some of my wedges, I'd say this. She does so much damage, and a lot of her content is focused on like single player. I mean multiplayer, like multiple enemy content. So you don't really need to go too ham because her multipliers are already OD. So this is my build. I like to put an inspo lapse in here because the inspo lapse just makes it so that you have more Q uptime, and because you have more Q uptime, you can just chill more, right? And the only thing that you need to worry about is using your E to defeat the big bosses. But you're not really gonna be focusing on big bosses that much. But this build, you can focus on big bosses because of the duel, and you could have the energy, and just having the energy is super nice. But the fact that you're not using energy as much is also gonna affect your ability to spam E. So it does come at a cost. So if you're focusing on bosses, you will want to switch this out for another morale in the future. The next thing I'd say is multiplayer. This is what I use for multiplayer. Multiplayer is really solid and really fun, and it's the best place to use Rhythm right now because you can just go stand like up on the little tree and just AFK. It's super chill. It's super fun. It's one of the best things to use Rhythm for, and it's the reason why I started using it was just for multiplayer, and then I realized, wait, I could just do this for all content in the game, so who cares? And you'll always have like 90% damage done. Like one match I had 98 consistently for like the whole evening, and it was insane. It's like, okay, yep, I6 is broken. But, it's just mainly like you don't really need the damage. So when we're doing multiplayer, we're always going to be using Serenity, Elapse, and Shards right here because these will just give us way more skill efficiency. And we need that skill efficiency a lot in multiplayer because we just want to have infinite uptime, run around, and go complete the bounties. And also gives our teammates a speed buff. So giving them a speed buff doesn't hurt at all. And we want to just keep that speed buff up on them because Who likes it when you're playing a game and then your support teammate doesn't keep giving you the speed buff? So in there, I like to play her more as a supporting role, and then let my Nifles or whatever take down the boss. Nifle, Psyche, Lyn. They're better at doing single target damage because the E is really buggy in multiplayer. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Lastly, this is a weapon focused build. Morale, duel, right? Blaze, right? Right here, Midnight Sun, because your electric attack does carry over into your weapon damage builds. And currently for weapon damage characters, I'd say only Umbro and Electro characters work because they have morale. You can also use animal characters because they have the resolve and they scale with resolve, but it's not that great. So unless you're using outsider, but outsider's kind of meant to do it, but you have to build around it. So it's not bad. You can change this for uplift. I mean, a hunt down, but hunt down kind of lowers your skill damage. So it's just no point in lowering your skill damage when you could just have the buff of using your Q to kill some enemies too. Yeah. Generally, I would say for weapons, you want to run the Wayne Wraith. You want to run the Excress Duo. Generally, this will be your bread and butter. If I'm using the weapons, I would use this weapon. This weapon is, in my opinion, the best weapon in the game because it has the 2x damage wedge right here. So you can just normal attack your way and just do so much damage. And sorry, and this right here, this bow is actually one of the best bows that you can use. It's insane. So if you're bossing, you really want to use this bow or this bow. And the reason why is because they're smash type weapons. And smash type weapons literally smash bosses. You want to try to get the trigger probability up. That's why this weapon is better, because you can get the trigger probability up and get the smash damage up. But you can use the this bow, and this bow works just as well. You're gonna have to build a little bit more into the smash and into the trigger to get it to be consistent. But it's not bad. It's not bad for sure. And yeah, that's my rhythm guide. That's the guide made in my own style. I'll see you guys.